Everybody, my name is Candice Dyer, and this is Canna Corner. It's broadcasted live normally from the Facebook page, my Facebook page, but FedBook's got me grounded, so it's being broadcasted live on my regular Facebook right now. And so you can normally catch it on YouTube as well. After the show, I'll upload it over there. And so we're going to go ahead and get the show started. I have an amazing guest. Her name is Adela Wisdom, and she is with the Talking Circle. I'm going to bring her on just a minute. But first, I wanted to give a big shout out to the sponsors, KM420 Radio. We love them. Canna Corner is replayed every Sunday, 2 and 6 on KM420 Radio. Miss Farrah Hunter does a fantastic job, and Rena McCain. We love them. Also, the Human Solution International. For those of y'all don't know, we just got our page up, the Human Solution International Texas chapter. So y'all go check that out. We love THSI. They do a fantastic job. You can go find them at www.thsintl.org. Also, Walk for Change, y'all. Walk for Change is still happening because of Corona. We have been a little bit put on hold and had to reevaluate everything a little bit, but Walk for Change is still a thing. So y'all, if y'all want to make a difference in all change, not just cannabis rights, but in all different issues that we're having, there's so many: human rights, homeless, CPS, man, anything. Yeah, I could sit here all day and tell you. But anyway, www.walkforchange4.us. Y'all go check them out. Thank you very much to all of them. They sponsor Canna Corner, and they make this be able to happen. So we love them a whole bunch. But enough waiting. Let's go ahead and get Miss Adela on. Hi, love.
Hey, hello. Okay, are we live? Did I do it wrong again?
We are live now, yes. I know earlier I came in and popped in on you on accident. I don't know what happened. I guess I hit enter and it just totally brought you in. But
It was probably me. It's usually me, operator error.
well, man, electronics period and me don't get along good, so I totally feel you there. But hell yeah, I know a lot about you and everything that happened. Why don't you go ahead and take a minute to introduce yourself and kind of tell a little bit about your story and why we got you on today.
All right. So, well, first off, thank you for having me on the show. And I do agree, it's really important for people to hear that cannabis prohibition is still very much alive and still very much happening. I'm only one of the 36 people every 36 seconds someone's arrested for cannabis. So I guess my 36 seconds were up. So in September of Constitution Day of 2019, first off, my name's Adela Wisdom, formerly known as Adela Falk. I now live in Missouri. A lot of people knew me from California, but we have been, I don't know, the government's just declared war on us, I reckon. But on Constitution Day in 2019, we were raided, and not just by our local law enforcement officers, but the National Guard, a federally funded and dual deputized drug task force called the Mustang Task Force, and our local law enforcement. So they flew over our house, I guess, a couple of days prior to that. Since the discovery, we found out they've been flying over quite a few times. So they're using the National Guard, which is under the control of the governor. And then they raided us, and then they didn't no evidence was seized. And then June of 2020, along with more helicopters, they raided us again. And this time, allegedly, they found I said allegedly, right? So 22 2 foot tall non-flowering cannabis plants, allegedly. Um, and they arrested us. They detained us, arrested us. But mind you, they didn't have a warrant. So they held us for 45
Right.
minutes in the back of a police car until they got a warrant. And they got a warrant from a totally different judge than they did in 2019. And they got it on grounds of exigent circumstances. This means somebody, somebody, some person is in imminent danger or in harm's way.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
so yeah, so that there it was a false. It was false. The whole warrant was
Right.
on. It was just fake. This is like, it's a political trial. It's a political trial because not only am I an advocate, I'm an activist. I advocate for judicial reform, but I also believe that the only true way to make change is to put ourselves in the governing body and be the legislators. So I advocate for voting and for running for office, which I actively have done. And so I really do believe they want to silence us, and they want to make an example of who they consider to be either the biggest threat, the loudest, or the person getting the most attention. None of those of which I would like to be. um, but we were targeted, I believe. So they, with those plants, I'm saying they allegedly took, these were non-flowering cannabis plants, and so we're charged with felonies, and they're saying that these could have yielded way over 35 grams, whatever they're alleging. They got no weight in the raid. They got no cannabis flowers in the raid, no money, no drugs, no guns, no anything, no paraphernalia. Um, and they got the rate they got the warrant on the grounds of transporting or trafficking and possession or sales,
Oh, my
all of the
gosh.
above, and none of which we were charged with. And we were charged
Right.
with manufacturing of a controlled substance, Schedule 1. And when I asked them to release us on a summons, because I see them do this quite often in Callaway County, we were told absolutely not, because of the seriousness of our crime. Mind you, there's no victim. It's nonviolent, it's low level. And every day I see them releasing people with large amounts of methamphetamine cells. And most scarily, is that even a word? Scarier. They
It is now.
it is now. We're just making it up as we go along. They
Oh, yeah.
they release, because there's a lot of sex offenders in this community, unfortunately. But if you fail to register as a sex offender, so that would be like us violating probation. I say us because, like, oh my God, you tested positive for cannabis after you're out on probation, right?
Right.
Boom, you're back in for the remainder of your time. So a sex offender who, like, could have, like, raped a child under the age of whatever age, any person, an adult,
Right.
female, male, doesn't matter, um, fails to comply with their probation, and they get arrested, processed, and released on a summons. On a summons. And then to boot, I watch them go to court. I know I'm a little off on a tangent, but this is relevant.
Oh, no, it's good stuff. We need to tell people about this.
I watch them go to court, get sentenced to 4 years, and then the judge waives their time.
Right. Yep.
What?
It's
And we're
ridiculous.
facing 11 years each for a plant that, this is a secret, dude, it's like never killed anybody.
Right. Exactly.
And so we have all these key talking points as cannabis advocates that we say. And sadly, I feel like no matter how many times I say them, I can't quite say it enough. So just because you know it is truth and I know it is truth, you're always going to have new viewers and new listeners
Exactly.
who don't know this. And so it's really important. Like, holy cow, we sentence people to draconian life without the possibility of parole sentences.
Yes.
And so I sound like a broken record, but yeah, like life. So I had Jimmy Romans on my show today, and he goes, I got a human, what did he call it? I wrote it right here. He said, a natural life. He said, I got a natural life sentence. And I said, no, you didn't. You got like a natural life. An average person what lives, let's just be generous. Let's just be generous and say 100 years,
Right.
which they don't. A life without the possibility of parole, first off, means you can never see a parole board. So you
Right.
will never, ever have freedom. Charles Manson was up for parole, what, 7 times? Denied all times,
Mhm.
but he was up for parole. So they'll never be paroled. And life without the possibility means 999 years, 99 months, and 99 days. And some of them, like I think John Knox was sentenced to two life sentences, what, plus 120 years or something.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And so I see people convicted of rape and murder, and they're out in less time than that. And so, which goes back to my case, they've spent all of this money
Right.
rating us, and this state has 6,000 untested rape kits that haven't been tested because they said they don't have the funds to do so. Okay,
It's
well, if we stop arresting people for a plant, then
right.
maybe you would have some funds to put towards that. But really, they're getting federal funds. And so the Callaway County Sheriff's Department has an active drug task force member on their in their works in the department full time, which means they're getting federal funds, right? Because this person sits on a drug task force, which is
Right.
federally funded. And at any time given, if they decide that's a federal crime, they can be switch badges and be a federal police officer. And so that's why I tell everybody all the time, just because you think you're complying with the law, it doesn't mean you're not breaking it.
Right.
Even if you have a medical marijuana ID card that's issued from the state, you could be Paula Huff and get rated. You could be Lance Glore operating in the compliance of your legalized state, and still the
Yep.
feds come after you and you're done. You could be Jimmy Romans, who had not a weed or seed on him, total dry case, total ghost case, and somebody said he did this and he got life. So until we really end cannabis prohibition, none of this is going to be safe, nor am I going to be safe. And that's kind of why I wanted, like, I want to go back to my story, but this is why, like, I don't know how you feel about the MORE Act, but we've been talking about it, man. I talk about it with everybody I can because there's 435 people in Congress and 100 people in Senate, and it passed the House.
Yep.
We only need 100 people to advocate for it. And only people I've heard that are against it are companies
Right.
and businesses because they had an extra tax. Like, I don't look,
Right.
all businesses are regulated and all businesses are taxed, but it removes and repeals. It doesn't just replace, it repeals cannabis from the Controlled Substance Act.
Exactly.
So as
Exactly.
long
Yeah. We did a march, a nationwide march. We were involved with it. We didn't throw it, but we went out and did a walk for that MORE Act to get people to know that it was going on. And so I definitely supported 100%. I mean, we've got to get it off the Schedule 1, off the federal list, and let states just do what they say, and most people don't realize that it is illegal. Like, even though you're in a legal state and you got a medical license, if the feds come in and bust you, you are going to prison, and they don't understand that. So I'm glad you brought that up, because most people are like, well, my state's legal. I get that all the time. I'm from California, so I don't got to worry about it. I'm from Colorado, so I ain't got to worry about it. And I'm just like, dude, no, you still got to worry about it.
you do, and you know, like when I'm saying removing cannabis from the Controlled Substance Act, if you have a problem with it, you're probably the same person that told me, Adela, baby steps are good. We have to start somewhere. I
Oh,
can't think of a
take
better place
baby
to
steps.
start than removing cannabis from the Controlled Substance Act on a
Right.
federal level. And then that leads me to what you were just talking about. Like, okay, I'm from California. Oh my God, welcome to Hemet in Riverside. They have an average of 2 raids a week for cannabis,
Oh,
all
wow.
because they say they're illegal grows. All right, well, let's jump into what constitutes an illegal grow. And
Exactly.
let's call the elephant out in the room. Each municipality has the ability to govern, rule, and regulate and create their own rules and regulations, often in the guise of zoning. So all cultivation in Riverside County in California is illegal. So an illegal grow is one plant.
Right.
So
Right.
they can say all this, they're muddying, they're poisoning the water table, they're doing this, they're putting illegal cannabis on the market. Hold on. Cannabis itself isn't illegal in the state. So it's an illegal grow. Products are legal from that illegal grow. See how like crazy this is getting?
Yes, and they make it almost impossible because, like here in Texas, it's 0.03 THC for just CBD is what's legal here. And people don't understand growing and how difficult it is to make sure your plant has zero point 0.0 you know what I mean, and how, oh, they could have let it go a little bit longer and just fucked up, and all of a sudden they have 1 point over and now it is illegal. And are they allowed to take that and like sell it to somebody who has a leak? No, they have to burn it like right away. Do you realize
What?
how much
You're
money you are wasting to
you're
try?
burning
Yes,
weed?
you have to burn
I'm,
it
I'm
and
laughing because
decorate
that's one of my charges. I'm
it.
laughing because the proper eradication of cannabis is burning it. And so is the legal and medical
Right,
method of it as well. Um,
right,
but that's ironic because see, I go back to the fact that look, American people are smart and they're going to find a gray area, and that's why bad laws shouldn't be written because they're going to find a loophole, and
right.
it is a loophole. The CBD market industry is operating full on a loophole,
On a loophole. Yep.
but that's fine. And I'll say it to CBD people to their face, and they get very upset about it. But I'm calling it truth. It's an arbitrary, man-made number. Look, if you were really intending, and it's not industrial hemp. I don't like that they say this isn't. No, it's not.
Right,
It's medicinal cannabis that's low THC.
right,
That's all it is. Because if it's grown for medicinal purposes, then it's medical marijuana.
right.
Industrialized hemp is the clothes you're wearing, the
Yes,
lanyard around your
and
neck.
toilet paper, plastic, and yeah.
That's leading to the fact that if it's 0.4% or 4% is irrelevant. Granted, you're going to want certain genetics, genes, phenotypes that are going to be more prevalent to be more fibrosis, and give you that whatever trait and attribute you're looking for. But percentage of THC is irrelevant. And
Right,
unfortunately, our government and the DEA and any sort of regulatory body, USDA, has been bombarded by the CBD industry market that real true industrialized hemp has not yet prevailed and not yet had the demand that is required for us to like really jump on industrialized hemp
right.
and be like, let's
And
do it.
is made so like it's actually a lot more expensive to go get a hemp shirt than a cotton shirt, which is crazy to me because it's so easy to grow hemp. Like, but it's because they put so many damn regulations on it,
It's the
that
bureaucracy.
they can't like operate like cotton does, because cotton has not very many regulations. That I don't know. I'm speaking out my ass because I don't know anything about cotton regulations, but I just know it costs more money to operate a hemp grow with all the regulations, the licensing, and all that. So they have to make it more expensive, which is crazy to me because aren't they griping about how straws in our ocean are? Come on, y'all, you're getting these metal straws that never biodegrade and that you're using over and over again when we could be making hemp straws that
Good.
biodegrade so fast in the ground. Like,
And to expand on how horrible some of these like industrialized hemp bills are, because now the industrialized hemp bills are being written for, they're like the people writing them are caving towards the CBD industry. And so now they're regulating CBD, like they're regulating industrialized hemp as if it was a CBD market. So like here in Missouri, I think you're only allowed 1,000 acres of industrialized hemp. And you know as well as I do, if I'm really going to truly make industrialized hemp and have a self-sustainable product, I myself just need 1,000 acres plus.
right,
You know what I mean?
right.
Like I was in American Samoa and I was a teacher there for a while. And it's on an island in the middle of nowhere, and they banned plastic a very long time ago. But I don't even know if they banned it, they discouraged it. And because they discouraged it, there's a couple of companies that step forward, and that's all you find on the island. And they're rice bags. You
Yeah,
bury them and they biodegrade in 30 days. I want to
right.
make hemp plastic bags that like
Exactly.
you just bury. Hey, you better yet, you put your seedlings in there when you start your grow, and you put the whole thing in the ground.
Exactly. Hell yeah,
And
that's awesome.
um, but we're not able to. And like one of okay, so like this bureaucracy is really challenging the true jump of industrialized hemp. Like, I can't wait for hemp graphene. And so like graphene exists, but they're trying to use all these plant matters to make, like, it's a carbon based like energy product, which could be from paint to like your clothes to tiles, but it's something that would be very thin. And they discovered that hemp was a great conductor and beautiful asset to hemp graphene. But the bureaucracy and the legality has made it, number one, unsustainable because they don't have enough supply. Two, the fear of raid and arrest over making that it's too
Right.
much.
The
And so
truth is, big oil, big pharma, wood industry, plastic industry, all
private
those
prisons.
industries are fighting to keep hemp illegal for the very reason it became illegal in the first
I
place.
say that to people. Marijuana made hemp, marijuana made hemp illegal, and hemp made marijuana illegal. Wow.
Exactly. Yep.
And you see it depending on what side. Like, I like both sides, so I like hemp and I like
Right.
cannabis, so like I play both sides. I like both the communities, but oh my gosh, they're at war. And oh my gosh, don't tell somebody that they're operating on the guise of a gray area. And don't you dare tell them that this arbitrary 0.3% number was made by a bunch of scientists that originally started in the 70s in Europe and France by a seed company that monopolized it at first at 0.8%, got it down to 0.3 because they sold the government. See, they were using a loophole. They were using empathy and drug rhetoric and propaganda to be like, well, ours is less than THC, so it's going to be better. You should only let our seeds go.
Right.
You get it? And now you created a whole nother market, and it's not. How hard is it going to be to really bring true industrialized hemp now that you have it operating under the guise of CBD? As a matter of fact, did you realize in the MORE Act it doesn't affect uh, low THC CBD? It
No, I
keeps
didn't.
that out on the schedule. It keeps it somewhere totally regulated and doesn't give them the freedom, because because you see, it's crap. It's the same plant. If we did it and looked at cannabis as the real plant and went up the family matter and went all the way back, you would see that there's nothing after this. Cannabis
Right.
encompasses all. I use indica, I use rid. Yeah, well, it's all under that. And then it's all
Right.
under this umbrella and cannabis back or something like that. It keeps going all the way up. So we're, as human beings, separating this dioecious plant that's both male and female. That's a beautiful plant.
Right.
One of the very few in the or in the plant kingdom that can have a different plant entirely for a male and a female, and it's when pollinated. So if you don't like your CBD hemp farmer, you can illegally or unlawfully plant a bunch of high THC mills that would pollinate that crop, and they would be out of regulation.
Right.
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. That's not
Yes.
regulations.
Yes.
That's not science. That's not a science-based law. And that's kind of what I'm going to, like, in here in Missouri. And I've told you this before, cannabis is classified 5 different ways. So like it could be 5 different things, meaning it's under 5 different types of regulation. So first and foremost, it's a controlled substance that's
Right.
got no current medicinal value and is highly addictive. Seconded by the Missouri Constitutional 14th Amendment as medical marijuana. And it's the only constitutional right, whether it's state or federal law, that you have to pay for. So it's a privilege, not a right.
Right.
Thirdly, it is 263250. It's declared a noxious weed, noxious meaning harmful.
Right.
And it is prohibited in this state, and all sales of that noxious weed are also prohibited. See, all 3 of these are contradictory. Fourth,
Right.
we have it as USDA industrialized hemp, 0.3%. And then fifthly, we have it as a CBD extraction. So does Elio know when they fly over in a helicopter, be like, that's this? Or do
Right.
they have to call all of these governing agencies and see, did you comply with every one of these rules and regulations and stipulations on where it's at? Because that just seems like you're creating more work for Ellie. I couldn't just imagine if they had all of their time freed up and didn't have to mess around with cannabis anymore.
Exactly, exactly. They waste way too much time, taxpayers' money, and they say it's a highly addictive. I am sorry, but I was on Xanax, and that shit's highly addictive. I can go into a seizure. I will have the shits, excuse my language. I will be puking my guts out. I will have the shakes. I will have sweat. If I go out without my cannabis for a day, it sucks because it helps me get through my day good, but I'm not having any of the withdrawal symptoms that they're saying makes things addictive. Like, but pharmaceuticals, yes, yes, people can die coming off that. Cannabis, no way, no way. It's crazy.
It
Highly
is, and it
addictive.
just makes you wonder, like, what is the intent? But like, don't you find it ironic that most plant medicine is illegal in this country? And people
Right.
use plant medicine all over the world, but it's really, really banned here because it's eye opening. It causes empathy, understanding, um, and just really enlightenment, so to speak. And so it's really sad that we incarcerate people and throw people in prison. Like a guy, Jason Spires in Illinois, he was sentenced to 30 years. I think he served like, I don't know, 15. He served an outrageous amount of time. And while he was there, he he told everybody, I'm gonna go to an Ivy League college. And so he starts studying and he studies and he studies and he comes out and he gets a full-time job and he goes to a community college and he graduates community college in a year and he's working full-time and he did all this studying in prison and he applies to Stanford University and he got a full scholarship.
Wow.
So from prison to marijuana to a Stanford, he's a senior, he's about to graduate, knowing that we put this brilliant mind behind prison instead of helping them become this just amazing person in society that they could have been, and how much we're prohibiting people's growth. Like, I talked to this guy Wade, and he was sentenced, like, well, I wrote to him, he was sentenced to 50 years and he spent 4 months shy of 24 years in prison. And he was 32 when he got incarcerated. So you're taking these people's lives, and I often say you're taking women's motherhoods away. You're taking family time
The
away.
fathers, yes. And not only that, but you are institutionalizing these people. You are growing criminals. You are taking a pot smoker that never did anything violent in their whole life and turning them violent by sticking them in these penitentiaries that are crazy, crazy, crazy for anybody who don't understand uh how much that you have to deal, like, do certain things in prison, do things certain ways, or those prisoners will kick your ass or kill you, and you have to learn how to live in prison and then come out and not be able to get a job. And so what are they going to do? They're going to go back to a life of crime because that's what they learned how to do, and that's the only thing they can really do when they get out, because they can't get a good job as a felon now. And it's just crazy. All of it is ridiculous when you think about no victim whatsoever, no deaths whatsoever, not addicted. Like, it's a fucking plant. And we are ruining not only the prisoners' lives, but the whole family. Like you said, the whole family's ruined because of this thing. It's crazy.
Yeah, and in federal prison, you don't get parole, you don't get early release. They only really kick you out once you're too old and they no longer want to care for you after they've kept you incarcerated for forever. And mind you, when these gentlemen and women get out, a lot of them are very sick. They've been eating prison food for 20 something years. It really
Right.
takes a toll on your life. The recidivism rate in the United States of America, I think, is 75% nationwide. And that's because of some of the topics you were just saying. I have to get a job. I'm a felon. No one will hire me. I have to have a place to live if I don't have a residence.
You can't get,
But
yeah.
yeah, but
And then
you
it's,
violate and don't have a job or a place to live. So you're homeless and unemployed and you can't keep your parole and you go back to jail. But don't let you not register as a child molester.
Right.
Or, so our system is really crooked. And that's kind of why I like the MORE Act, because we would be changing the entire judicial system. Like, it's not only that, it's retroactive. So like if you were arrested and like you served 20 years, you just spent 20 years in prison for something that was never a crime.
Right.
Now you have a chance for
Some kind of reimbursement.
on back of in lack of better terms, reparations.
Right. Right.
I guess pay me for my time a little bit more than what I would being a prison worker, which by the way, our inmates, some make like, I think an average in federal prison is 10 cents. And if you have a GED, if you have a GED or diploma, it's 14 cents. I think Jeff Mazansky, after 20 something years, made $1.28 an hour. And they make school trays for schools. They make Congress, our state legislators desk.
It's
So all the
slave
woodwork.
labor.
It
Oh
is.
man, I seen the beautiful woodwork at the prison that my son is in right now. They have they're getting them to do this like stuff that you would see in mansions, like the woodwork they're having them do for the prison itself for, like you said, 50 cents freaking an hour or a day or whatever god awful freaking number they're making them. It's slave labor.
It
Like,
is.
it's
And if you call
legal slave labor.
it's lawful slave labor. It's the new slave system. Um, but if you call places, like if you're ever calling and you want to talk to a representative, like you want to talk to an operator or whatever, customer service, ask the person, hey, where are you at? And I guarantee you 9 times out of 10 they're in a prison.
Oh wow.
And tell them, like, I love that you're working, I know you need something, but I can't stand for slave labor. I'd like to be transferred directly to the office. They will.
Right.
I've done it. I don't like talking to inmates. I do like talking to inmates, don't get me wrong. I
Right.
don't like
You
perpetuating
just
and
don't like
allowing.
allowing them to do that. Yes, I get you.
Yeah. And so like I've talked about this. One of my biggest issues, I hate private prisons. I don't believe that people should be in prison for in profit driven prisons.
Exactly.
And so like we have these presidents that are all executive order happy, but they're not. By doing an executive order, it's not law. And so it's a band-aid fix. And it's a joke. It's a joke, and it's a slap in the face to American citizens that when they do this, because they're not using the governmental body and system set up the way it's supposed to. And I'll tell you why. So like executive orders, we had a president ban executive orders prior to Biden. And then the next president came in and undid the executive
Yes.
order. And then now Biden redid it and
Right.
just says, we're no longer going to renew the contracts.
Right.
That's not the same as cancel the contracts.
Right.
Average private prison contract is anywhere from, at least it can be up to 50 years, even longer. So every other year they're doing it. And every year they got the president in that says, let's go ahead and do executive orders. Oh, let's renew our contract. Okay, sure. Let's add another 50 years to it. So now some probably have a 100-year contract. So it
Wow.
didn't solve the problem. They're still there. And
Yes.
then not one of these presidents have ever addressed the fact that our detention centers for immigration are owned and operated by ICE. That's a private prison, and ICE is
Yes.
making money. You're going to tell me that ICE's retirement funds are definitely in their prisons.
Right. Right.
Their beds are stacked, and they're always going to be. And so we're not fixing the problem by just signing a piece of paper. They're placating us, and
Right.
that's unacceptable. And the fact that we're okay with it, we're like, he did this. I'm like, no,
Yeah,
no,
I didn't
he.
understand at all what you were, but you explained it to me. I didn't understand. I thought it was a good thing, and you were like, no, because this is why. And man, I'll tell you what, I had my eyes open on that.
Well, it's frustrating because you see it. Like when I started looking up for private prisons and I saw that the judge's stock in retirement is in a private prison, I went, now tell me, is it not in that person's best interest to keep putting you in jail?
Yes.
How about this? Make everything a felony and release you because I know you're going to recommit, right?
Right.
Boom. Now you're going to do 5 years instead of 120 days and you're out. So like there was a state in Texas that would, or I think it was a state, I think it might have been Texas, where they were talking about minimum wage.
Right.
And they were saying that felons and people who were hard to employ is what they had said, and then people with disabilities and felons would not be able to get the high minimum wage of like 15 bucks an hour ever. So now, like, I could get out like Jason Spires, who's a felon, and go all the way to Stanford to get a degree, but I'll be darned, I can never earn $1 over 15 bucks an hour.
And that's such bullshit, because once you're put in prison, you're serving your freaking time. You know what I mean? You, regardless of whether it's pot or not, or any kind of crime, you're serving your time for that crime. But then when you get out, you're still going to serve time for that crime because you're still being punished. You can't
Or if
get
you get
government
arrested
housing,
again.
food stamps. You can't get. So, like you said, most of them end
Can't
up
vote.
homeless on the street. And
Can't
then
vote.
that's a problem. And it's like you could fix all of that by fixing this, but it's too much money made in it, man. That's all it is. It's greed, it's power, it's
Well, you have like habitual offenders and 3 strikes. Well, that seems very oxymoronic because, as you just said, if I've already done the crime, then why are you using this as a habitual offender?
right.
That's what happened with Jeff Mazansky. He got once arrested for marijuana, twice arrested for marijuana. Oh shit, 3 times arrested for marijuana. He got life. And none of these were ever large amounts. I'm talking like, I think the max there was one time like 4 ounces or something. These are small amounts. And you know what he thought? They were all fines. So he didn't understand the ticketable offense, an infraction versus misdemeanors. So,
Right.
like most states, how many misdemeanors does it take till it's a felony?
Oh, I'm not sure on that.
3.
3? Is it? Oh, okay. Just like the 3
Common.
strikes you're
That
out
that
basically rule.
that's yeah. It's just an average. So after
Right.
3, I got 3 marijuana misdemeanors. I'm just signing off tickets, paying my
Right.
$150 fine. Woo woo.
But then now you got a felony.
I got a felony. 3 more misdemeanors. Another
Right.
felony. 3 more misdemeanors. Another felony. 3 strikes. You're
I
out life.
didn't even know that. Yeah, that's crazy.
And
Oh,
now this is something I've seen happening in Missouri. And no matter what I tell anybody, oh my geez, these people sometimes. So it's hard to get people to wake up from rhetoric and propaganda, years of it. So
right.
who's the largest arrested body in Colorado? 18 to 20-year-olds for
Well,
marijuana.
yeah. If you think about it, they've got cops in our schools now.
Yes.
And all that stuff we used to do as kids, and just, oh, they're kids. Kids will be kids. They're going to try this. No, they're getting thrown in prison when they're children. Because everything they do is put on their microscope. You got police in your school now. And instead of just saying, oh, well, they're kids, you know what I mean? They're slamming them and putting them in jail.
And why are we tolerating law enforcement being in a public school? Like, you don't have them like everywhere else patrolling, and these
Right.
are kids. Taxation without representation.
Well, not only
That's
that, but they
definitely
try to tell you it is illegal for you to stand up for yourself now. You'll get a ticket too. If somebody comes and punches me and I punch them back, we both get in trouble for fighting in school. And that's bullshit. You have a right. They are taking their rights away. You have a right to protect yourself with exactly the amount of force that they're using against them. That is your right. And they are taking that away from kids. And like you said, sticking them in freaking prison. They don't belong in prison. Like, it's crazy. Even if they're drugs, they need to be in a rehab or something.
Mm-hmm.
Because 9 times out of 10, the person addicted to heroin started out with hydrocodone from their doctor. And we're not talking about that. We're not giving the doctor in trouble that just ruined this person's life because they weren't addicted beforehand, but now they are. And then they yanked that prescription away from them because now we're in a war with pain meds. And what do you think they're going to do? They're going to go find an equivalent, which is heroin, to fix their habit.
Yeah, that's really frustrating. So, like, doctors pay money, and they don't do jail time. It's like a corporation. So,
Yeah.
like, if you're operating an illegal marijuana grow on a big scale, it's just a smash and grab and a $10,000 fine or so, but you're never going to do any jail time. Doctors are the same way. even though a doctor you would think would be somebody who would hold to a higher
Yeah,
standard, like
they're supposed
color
to.
of law. But
Yeah, they take an oath to
they
protect
take an
you.
oath. So in Missouri, I've been noticing that people are getting arrested for small minor possessions. And because they decrimmed in this state a couple of years ago, these minor offenses, even though they have their medical marijuana ID card, are ticketable infractions. And so they're showing up and saying, I have my card though, I have my card. I told the cop I had my card. And the judge is saying, I don't care. This isn't a jury trial issue. It's a fine or jail time. $450, you pay the fine or you go to jail. They're paying the fine.
Of course. I
And
mean,
they don't
if
know the
they
Missouri
can, if
Constitution.
they're rich enough to, like, so basically you're putting poor people in prison because they couldn't afford their ticket. Or, and then, like you're saying, if you do that ticket, that was a misdemeanor. If you get 3 of those, you're now a felon. And I didn't even realize that. Like, I knew about the 3 strikes you're out rule, like that they get you, like, but I didn't know it was little misdemeanors caused a felony. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, there's so much that happens in our judicial system that's so scary and they violate your rights. I mean, they put drones over your house, they record you. And like when I told Detective Lacey, because I filed the complaint when they flew over me, and I'm often naked in my property, which
Right.
I'm not shameful of, and I don't think it should be a crime.
It's
It's
your
not a crime.
property.
It is. And Detective Lacey says, well, in my yard, he said to me too, in my part of town, in my yard, I would get a ticket. And I said, yeah, but you know where I live. I don't have a neighbor in sight. I'm on 8 acres
Right.
in the middle of the country. And so if I'm gonna go garden in whatever I want to,
Yeah.
so be it. And when that drone flew over, I had suspicion to believe it was law enforcement, but it wasn't as if the thing was clearly identified, like I am
Right.
a cop, I am law enforcement.
Exactly.
And I had no idea until 2020 when I filed a motion for my discovery. And me and my co-defendant, which happens to be my husband, both got our separate packages of our discovery. And I saw a naked video of there on me. And I know there was more than one because that was the second time I recall. But so they took the video with no evidentiary value, zoomed in on me, recorded it, put it in their office, downloaded it into a computer. All of these are felonies, uploaded it, and then distributed it. Felony enhancement, all done by
Wow.
law enforcement. And when I told them and filed a sexual complaint, they said there was no harm, there was no foul play, and there was no nothing. And then on the state of Missouri, I'm on what we call a wait list for a public defender because the state has underfunded the public defender's office. The legislature, your governing body, has failed to fund the public defender's office. So since 2017, this state has been unconstitutionally putting people on a wait list. And in February
And
of
it
go
is
on.
your constitutional right. They tell you you have the right to attorney. They don't say you're going to be put on a waiting list for 6 years to get that attorney.
Yes, and so in like I said, February, the Missouri Supreme Court ruled that the wait list is unconstitutional. So we did file a motion to have our case dismissed because we are on the wait list and will have been come April 10 months. And we're one of the longer parties that have been on the wait list. And she denied our motion to dismiss because our Sixth Amendment constitutional right were being violated. No reason given, just straight out denied. When I asked her to put it in writing with points of law, she told me no. And when I asked her how how do I know how to argue your arguments in an appeal, and she said you can't appeal. So, and then I also found out that day that whatever they allegedly took from this property has not been tested. So now I have no idea what they took, when they took it. Like, no, like what, I have no idea what's going on. And so,
They've literally got you on charged with something they haven't even freaking tested to see if it's what they said. Not only that, but like you said, this plant grows as a weed in a lot of places. And what they're supposed to come and tell you you need to destroy it, and they never
a
do that either.
letter from the county commissioner. So people are like, you can't pick and choose your law, Adela. Okay, the Missouri statute it was created way before Article 14, and it states that a county commissioner is supposed to send you a letter if they find this noxious weed growing on your property, aka marijuana. It doesn't say anything about 0.3%. It doesn't say anything about anything
Right.
at all. It just says marijuana. And so, and it says specifically in Rule 2 that no sheriff or any other governing body will step foot on your property until that notice has been submitted to you. So no, we never even got a letter. The county commissioner was never contacted us or sent us a letter. So we're definitely using all these defenses.
Right.
And there was middle of COVID, so we didn't have our license at the time. Like I said, it was middle of COVID, and I'm from California, where I don't know if medical marijuana doctors are maybe a little bit more serious or just maybe a change, but
Right.
I just didn't feel comfortable. Like, well, like Dr. David Allen lost his license for telemedicine in California by Kamala Harris. And I just didn't feel comfortable going to a vape tobacco shop, aka a sex shop, which would have been the closest place to go here because after all, this is what they say is a controlled substance schedule at
Right.
one. So I just didn't feel like that was very professional, and I just wasn't comfortable. And I like I said, I don't know of a constitutional right you have to pay for. So if
Right.
my crime is anything, it's that I was either too poor or too sick, or there was a pandemic that I couldn't comply um, with paying to go see a doctor, and then paying the state for a recommendation, and then paying to get a caregiver because I'm sick and I'm not going to be able to tend to them, and then just paying for the whole apparatus, and then just to be able to comply and put all this stuff up. And so like if I guess my crime is being too poor or too sick, we'll be arguing that in trial as well. We
Right.
do plan on going and taking it to a jury trial. And I definitely urge anybody who may be watching this here in Callaway County that maybe I'm not saying I'm jury tampering. That's not what I'm doing. I'm letting you know that you have this constitutional like
Yes.
privilege in this United States of America. And I'm gonna let you say it so that I'm not jury tampering.
Right. Yeah. Jury nullification, y'all. You can say not guilty to any drug charge, um, cannabis especially, and get that person out. Just one person saying that can make them be able to walk. And so, yes, definitely. I've yet to be asked to be on the jury.
Yes, and do know that you're protected by jury
Yeah.
immunity. So that means you cannot be punished for your verdict.
They will try to bully you.
And
They
that
will try
actually
to tell
really
you
happened.
you have to say this because this is illegal, but you do not have to say that. So
Yes.
keep that in mind. The judge will try to bully you.
Yes, and don't lie. Like if you ask me, could I ever put somebody in prison for marijuana and you don't stipulate anything else? Yes. Was there an act of murder
Right.
or
Exactly.
rape? Like,
Yeah.
okay, so there's a gentleman in Texas, no, Oklahoma, a gentleman in Oklahoma who he's a legal marijuana grower, and he is also an army veteran, and he shot and killed an intruder, and he is now facing murder charges. So if I was had the privilege and ability to sit on that jury trial, I would also definitely
Guilty.
be exercising jury nullification.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
it goes all ways. No, I just think it's great that you're giving everybody an opportunity to talk about these, not just all the good, wonderful aspects that cannabis brings to it, but
Right.
also the sadness, because it's really important, because we want people to not be compliant and not just give up and settle for rights being stripped and took from us. We need to continue to be vigilant on this fight because this
Exactly.
war is far from over.
It really is all about education. The government spent billions of dollars cramming Dare down our throats, how horrible cannabis is. And it's going to take us cramming down the public's throat about you were lied to. They lied to you. And that's just about education. Like I'm still learning today. There's still things like you've taught me a couple things today, um that I didn't know. And you're always learning. And so anytime that you have the choice to talk to your friends or your family or your, and that's why I love the fact that we were able to start this show, because I have PTSD. And if I talk to somebody that may have like never heard about PTSD before, they can't really relate. But if I get somebody on the show that has stage 4 cancer and cured themselves, they may know somebody in their family that had, and they can relate to that then, or their grandchildren that had a seizure. You know what I mean? Like, then they can relate. It's all about getting them, everyone, to relate to something about, cannabis and what it helps, so that they can put their mind and their body is actually in there then, because they understand that they, oh, okay, I get it. That, you mean my kid could not have seizures anymore? Yes, your kid could not have seizures anymore. Look at Alexis Bortel. She's been what, 6 7 years seizure free now, just because of cannabis. So that is the whole point of this show, and it's just educating the public. Man, we really, really, really need to raise our voice on how horrible our government is being, and how many of our rights are being taken away. And
No, anecdotal evidence is very, very good because it really does eventually lead to science. Because there's a reason that anecdotal evidence is very huge when it comes to cannabis, and they are finding all of these scientific methods of using cannabis medicinally. So it's really important, but it's also really important that we remember to use science-based approach to ending this war on drugs. But anecdotal evidence is really good, and so is having a sympathetic and very passionate point of view when you're talking about all this. So I know I've had you on for like an hour and a half, but I want to kind of end it
oh,
with
you're good.
I want to kind of end it with the fact that there's still a whole buttload and bunches of people that are still incarcerated for
Yes.
cannabis. Some that are still serving life sentences. We recently found a female serving a life sentence for cannabis as well. So we really encourage everybody to take that aspect and approach just like you were talking about, and actually reach out and write to them. So I got adelawisdom.com is my website, but underneath that I have cannabis prisoners. And then I got victims of cannabis prohibition, and that's just stories of people that are now released. But the cannabis prisoners are, I think I got about 45 people on there that are actually currently incarcerated. So I just encourage anybody who is listening to the show just to go there, pick one of them, and write to them. Just write
Heck,
to them and make their day. Believe me, the response you're going to get back is amazing. And if you end up with a correspondence between somebody who, like, let's say, is in federal prison, you can use email correspondence like TrueLink and CoreLinks. So you'll save each other money and time, and you'll get instant messages. And they got apps for your for your phone so that you can keep in touch with them constantly and
yeah, I use JPay, and you just
stay.
pay for the stamps, and they can send you like little messages. And
It's really good. It's really important. I just really think that what you're doing is good, and I think it's going to be a community effort, and and like collectively we'll actually get
collectively,
this done. So
yes.
just thank you. I really appreciate it.
Oh, no problem, love. Anytime. And thank you for, tell people about the show that you have.
Oh,
And
yes, yeah. And if anybody, okay, but first off, too, if anybody wants to write to my judge, all that information is on there. And if
yes,
you want to
yes.
do a sign justice for the wisdoms or drop all charges, tag Carrie Cannon in it. And I do got a show that I do every day around 4:20, times can change, called The Talking Circle. Same thing you're doing, just giving people the opportunity to share their stories, talk about what they're going through. And if anybody happens to be going through court, it's just a way for them to get on the show, talk,
Right.
and get people to show up. And I really encourage anybody to sit through court support. A lot of times through the pandemic right now, you can do virtual court support, and you're making some of that open to the public. But go down and sit in court, learn that your constitutional rights are not rights. They have to be granted and given to you in a court of law, to include your First Amendment freedom of speech. So know
Yep.
that everything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law.
Yes, it will. It will. And if anything, Facebook's taught us all that, that freedom of speech is not something that we really have anymore.
Oh, trust you me, this will probably be in my evidence because everything else in my social media has been. 90% of the evidence we got is my social media post.
Good. Maybe the judge will learn something.
Yes, and that's what I said. For all the attorneys telling me to shut up, I've got 20 years of the same stuff that I've been preaching, so it really
Right?
doesn't matter what I say. Am I wrong? Nobody belongs in jail for a plant. I'm
No,
just not
no.
wrong. I'm right. I'm on the right side of history here.
Yes, you
No,
are.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Yes, love. Anytime. Anytime you have anything going on with your court, so we can get people any when you get your court case set, the one where you need people to show up,
Yes.
let us
I,
know. I'll have you come on again. That way we can tell everybody, come on, show up at this time, this place, and let's get as many bodies up in her to support her. Please come dressed appropriately. Don't be mean and rude and you're going to hurt her case. Just stand there in solidarity with her and respectfully and show that there are a lot of people behind her, and that really does help. And write into her judges.
I know, and you know, one of the things I'm probably going to end up doing is ordering a bunch of green masks because courts are still mask mandated. And
Right.
what a wonderful statement to have. Nothing,
It,
nothing written on them, just
yep.
green
Just
mask.
green.
It's kind of like the solidarity ribbon you're rocking. So
Right.
same sort of concept, but I've seen those be not allowed in court. So you have to be
Right.
very cautious. And I agree. So April 14th, I go back for a counsel status hearing, and I probably won't get counsel then. And then it'll be May, and I'll
Wow.
just keep letting everybody know what's going on. But
It is just crazy what they're putting you through. It's ridiculous.
so
I literally have been watching your story from the beginning, like the day that you did the live and they were over your, and I'm thinking to myself, this is a cut and dry case. There, you know what I mean? No. Oh my God. They have thrown the book at you and it's bullshit. Like they didn't haven't even tested your freaking evidence yet. Like, how unprofessional are they? But for real, anytime you want to come on the show, just hit me up and we'll get you on here so you can tell everybody. And thank you so much for being on and educating me some.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you having me. Have yourself a wonderful evening.
You too, love.
Bye.
Bye bye. Heck yeah. That was Adela Wisdom, y'all. I'm telling you, it's crazy when you go looking into all this stuff. And even like she said, she's on a list for a public defender. But even if you get a public defender, my son's public defender told him to plead guilty at his arraignment because his parents said that he should. They never talked to us. They never asked us. So they're not even really on your side as far as I'm concerned. They're there for what reason? To make the government money. They get paid to be the worst damn lawyer they can be so that you will end up going to prison anyway. If you cannot afford an attorney, you might as well represent yourself as far as I'm concerned, because you ain't gonna get very much help with the ones they give you. But anyway, I love all y'all. I know I need to go ahead and tell y'all a few things. We have some events coming up. The Sarge with Mountain High 10 Radio will be doing a concert the 16th, the 17th. We're leaving the 16th. So I've been sharing it all over my page. Y'all go check my page out. It's got the flyer and everything, and I'll put the link and everything in the comments on this video so that y'all can look that up. I cannot wait. April 17th, 4 p.m. to 12 a.m. Nico Cashin will be out there. We're actually getting a house with him for the whole week. And I'm just super excited to hang out with my bro and my whole cannabis family up there. And I haven't yet been to Colorado Springs or that far up into Colorado. So that's going to be new for me too. And we get to go to an event that Mountain High 10 Radio has thrown, which is another awesome thing. We love Mike Ung and what he's doing down in Colorado. And so it's just going to be a really good time. If y'all are in the area in Colorado Springs, y'all go ahead and go to the Shutdown Can't Stop Us 420 event. From the 16th to the 19th is when we're going to be there. And also, y'all know about the alternative healing farms that we're starting. We'll be just kind of looking and doing some research. There you go. There's the word research for the farm that's coming up too. The farm will be able to, it's going to be nonprofit so that we can help people get the medicine that they can't afford. Because all y'all know that cannabis is a Schedule One federal Schedule One drug, illegal. So even though in some states it's legal, they can't get it put on their insurance. So that inhaler that you get help with your insurance, the person who needs the RSO to cure his cancer can't get that through his insurance. So he has to pay cash, like he has to have the money for it. So I think that's ridiculous. I don't think nobody should die because they can't afford their meds. And that is one of the reasons that we are opening this farm up, one of the many reasons. But anyway, so stay tuned for that. I'm trying to see. I know that I skipped a sponsor too, and I wanted to go ahead and give a big shout out to Wendy Love Edge, WJAE420.com. Y'all go check them out. That this show also gets replayed on there on Wednesdays at 2. I hope I'm right on that. If not, I'll look it up and put the link and everything in there. But hell yeah, y'all. I think that is it. Thank you for the KM420 Radio, y'all. KM420radio.com. The Walk for Change. www.walknumber4change.us. Y'all go check them out. And the Human Solution International. THSINTL.org. So y'all go check them out. There's a prisoner project coming up, which I am very much looking forward to, with Craig Cecil, Becca, and Joe Grumbine. We are working with the Last Prisoner Project. As some of y'all know, that the Last Prisoner Project helps prisoners get back on their feet and stuff, thereby giving them some money and some funds to be able to do so. But Craig, after he got out, he was like, man, I've been in jail for 18 years in prison. Back when I was out of prison, we were still filling out applications on paper. We weren't having to go and do everything online and on your phone and on the computer. And they just don't know really how to do a lot of stuff that we take for granted. Also, they're used to ordering stuff on commissary. They're only allowed a choice of a few things. And then when they go into Walmart, they get bombarded with all this stuff they can choose from. And a lot of them are still going and buying Roman noodles, y'all, because that is what they're used to cooking. So we will be providing mentors for these people getting out to teach them how to do that. Get on the computer, fill out applications, shop, cook, find places they're hiring felons, find food banks that they can go to for help, just different stuff that you would need, that you need a mentor for. So if you are interested in doing that and being a mentor for somebody getting out of prison for a cannabis case, hit up the Human Solution International. Go to THSI ntl.org and fill out a form. Becca gets all these forms. It's a volunteer form, and you can put in there a mentor program, and she'll know what you're talking about. And we'll get a hold of you. This is all still in the works, so we're having another meeting, I believe, tomorrow. So we're having another meeting on that, and we're getting a commercial in the works, and so stay tuned for all of that. Love y'all very much, and Peace. Y'all have a great day.